This is Laura Swanson, editor and partner with the Tillamook County Pioneer, and this is part 2 in a series of interviews with Chuck McLaughlin.
So I'm just kind of wondering, checking in with you, so how have you been managing with the stay-at-home orders?
Well, it really hasn't made much difference in my life. At this age, I don't get out that much anyway, so I'm usually at my computer most of the day, and then I have a Kindle that I read some works on, and I do a few honeydew jobs for my wife.
Right.
And I get out on the deck once in a while, pick up some Z's from the sun. Other than that, I don't go downtown anymore unless Barbara drives, because I've lost pretty much the vision in my left eye.
Mm-hmm.
So the COVID-19 has not affected me one way or another, really.
So, like I said, it was interesting. As we wrapped up the last interview, I walked outside and I thought, we didn't even really talk about what Chuck did as jobs over all of these decades.
What would you say was your most innovative job?
Well, that was pretty close to the original silliest job that we had thought about. I was living in a little town called Seal Beach, California, sort of a mom and pop type of place with laid back, pretty much like Cannon Beach was back in the 70s. And my wife and my son Paul were living there. Paul was an infant at the time. And I suddenly found myself unemployed. I won't go into detail there, other than I didn't like the person or the business that I was working for at the time. Mm-hmm. I had moved down from Bakersfield, where I was born and reared, and where I had been a CEO for a medium-sized corporation for 17 years. And I moved down to Seal Beach because I wanted to be next to the ocean. And I went to work for this corporation down there, didn't like it, bailed out. And so one day I happened to I had a Volkswagen van in those days, mm-hmm. and it was my pride and joy. And one day a friend of mine asked me to pick him up and take him home. He was over visiting. So I said, sure, jump in. So he jumped in the van and away we went. We drove a few blocks to his place. To get to it, he asked me to go down the alley because he wanted to come into his apartment from the backside for some reason. So I dropped him off, and as I did, I saw this beautiful couch sitting out in the alley next to the garbage cans. And I said, whose sofa is that? And he said, oh, we just threw that away. It's got some broken legs on it. And I said, is anything wrong with it? And he said, no, the legs are off, but we got a new one. So I asked him if I could take it, and he said, yes. So I lifted up the back of the van and shoved this couch into the van and drove home and put some new legs on it, and there it was. We had a new couch. Well, it sort of struck me then that, gee, I wonder how much stuff that people throw away in their garbage cans and so forth. And so I had this crazy idea about driving down the alleys and looking at people's garbage. And some of them were dumpsters and some were regular. And so I did. And I found out at the end of the day, I'd picked up a full van full of throwaways that looked perfectly good to me, or just needed a little bit of a modification, and it would be recyclable. So I got into the recyclable business. I started daily to driving around in the city of Seal Beach, dumpster diving and garbage picking. I was a picker.
A picker before it was a occupation and a career.
Well, that's what it turned out to be, because surprisingly, when I got all this stuff at home in my garage, I just hung out a garage sale sign.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I got this idea that I would get a business license called Garage Sales Company.
Mm-hmm.
So I could hang out my garage sale sign all the time.
Right.
So I did that and opened up my garage door, and lo and behold, people started flowing by and coming in, and it became a daily business. And so I didn't work for any more corporations.